Just thank you guys all. Our work will never be finished.
Our work will never be finished. I think that's the important part right there is the work will never be finished. Let's continue.
The behaviors, the claims. What could be the underlying assumptions that would lead us to make these claims? Racism can only be intentional. Not having intended it cancels it out. If I'm a good person, I can't be racist. My unexamined perspective is equal to an informed one.
I just want to highlight how highly this woman thinks of her own opinion. How highly, not just her, but everyone in that room. And this is why people are saying this is a cult. You guys are the informed, intelligent, intellectual, providing hand that has the actual knowledge and ability to help all of these people who just don't know. They just don't know. They just don't know. You know, it's funny that she says this. It feels like anyone who examines or tries to criticize the perspective of pretty much identity politics, which is what she has, then they are instantly labeled as an ism, phobe, something like that. If there's any question against the mindset that is cultivating in the left right now, which is, radical, this radical mindset, which is racism. It is racism. That's what it is, which is to judge people based on the color of their skin, based on their gender, based on their sexual preference, instead of based on the content of their character. But okay, let me actually continue this.
As a white person, I know the best way to challenge racism, and you're doing it wrong.
Did she just say, you know what? We're just going to continue. We're just going to continue and act like
nice people cannot be racist. If I can't see it, it's not legitimate. What color? I can't be racist because I'm racially innocent. I would make a case that white people who grew up on farms and rural environments and there are no people of color around actually are less sheltered from racism because you are left to rely on the most problematic sources for your understanding of people of color.
What? Oh my God. Who are you helping with this? I'm sitting here trying to think, dude. I'm trying to get this right in my fucking head. I'm sitting here like, who are you helping with this? Anyone who thinks differently than you is not going to change their mind by being told that their mindset and their thinking is ignorant, is stupid. You just don't understand because you just haven't had the education. Like all of this, I don't see who the fuck it is helping. I don't understand. Because the people who you're profiling can mostly only take it as offensive if they don't agree with your opinion. And if they do agree with your opinion, then they're just going to more validate that opinion and completely, obviously agree with you on a regular basis on almost everything you say. So you don't really learn. No one's really learning much. You're just bouncing similar ideologies off of each other on a regular basis. But you solidify yourself in this echo chamber, and at the same time, you completely shut yourself off to anyone else's opinions. Okay, I just need to continue this video, because the reason why this takes me so long.
Right? So how does all that function? Maintains white solidarity, closes off self-reflection, minimizes, silences the discussion, makes white people the victims.
Makes white people the victims? No, I think just makes victims, like actual victims, people who are actually victims of heinous acts and crimes and things against them. Categories of race or sex determines what level of a victim you are. When bad things happen to you from bad people, you in turn are a victim, regardless of your race. It should, and again, like, that is not a good thing to be a victim. That mindset is not a good mindset to have. It hinders you. It keeps you from progressing because because it makes you unable to look at yourself as needing to grow. You instead look at everyone else as holding you back. Continuing.
I could get into this really deep, but here's what I just want to say about this. For me, this is an amplified visual of institutional power. If I walked in that room as a woman, it would be visceral to me, the lifetime of entitlement exuding out of these men's pores. But if you were to suggest to them that maybe they should have some women or people of color in that group, I can't know, but I believe to my core they would feel contempt.
This weird ideology that if we have some more women and color in here, there wouldn't be such a... No, dude. Then all you do is give these people of power the ability to find people of color and people of different gender who have the same plan and agenda that they do to get in their circle and agree with them on their points. If you want anything, you need diversity of thought in there, which, yes, I do think that if you get more different, obviously some different races, different genders, you start to create a little bit diversity of thought, obviously. But that does not dictate someone's mindset, is their gender or their race. So you can very easily find people for various different reasons will agree with you, whether it be money, whether it be a position you're offering them. Doesn't matter. They'll agree with you. They'll go along with it to fit into this portfolio that you want to, the checklist that you want to make of the right diversity in the room. And if we aren't looking at the right things to fix, we're not going to fix the problem.
If I can see it in them, what version of that is coming from my pores? What version of that is visceral for people of color when I'm in the room? Women of color. You want to be the one that goes in there and helps those white women see their racism? Does that sound good? All by yourself? They need some diversity. All right. So my point is, I can be in this room experiencing sexism and patriarchy, and I can be in this room perpetrating racism. But our resentment about sexism can cause us to not back people of color and actually collude with the benefits of whiteness to get a little bit ahead, right? So I'm going to end by just bringing this question up so that I could preempt it, because I really don't like this question. And if this is the question you have right now, if you're white and this is the question you have right now, then I have one for you. What has allowed you to remain ignorant?
This girl. If you have a question, well, don't. Because I've got a question. Like, dude, that's... It's like this level of entrapment this woman has. And she's like, okay, here's the question. Are you asking yourself this question? Yeah, what do I do now? Are you asking yourself now? Okay. What do I do now with all this information? Are you asking yourself that now? Huh? Well, let me ask you a question. What the dude? Oh my God. This woman. Let me just back this up a little bit.
If this is the question you have right now, if you're white and this is the question you have right now, then I have one for you. What has allowed you to remain ignorant about how to interrupt racism? And that's actually a sincere, challenging question. Because if you really start to map it out, you'll have your answer. So I want to share what could be under that dock if we had a...
It's like, so she just like keeps herself in this continuous circle to where she never actually has to come up with a solution. No. What, instead of thinking of a solution, why would you even ask me to have a solution in this age, in this time? Where's your solution? Have you read my book?
But before I do it, I want to give an example of a moment of racism that I recently perpetrated. Okay?
And then and yet again, she gives another subjective example as a reasoning for her. Oh my God, dude.
On the equity team were 3 people, myself, the co-director, and the executive assistant. And Deborah and Marsha were black women. So there were 3 of us, 2 of us were black, 1 was white. And we hired a consultant, the organization hired a consultant to come in and design the web page. So she scheduled a meeting with the equity team, and it was 3 p.m, and we went in, and it turns out that she was also a black woman. I will call her Angela. Right away, she had this survey. It was the afternoon. I found the survey kind of annoying, so I kind of shoved it aside, and I said, let me explain. We go out into the different satellite offices, and we lead, racial justice trainings. We went up to the far north one recently, and Deborah was asked not to come back. I guess her hair scared the white people. I make this little joke, right? Because Deborah has long locked hair. And I wish I could tell you that I realized what I had said, but I didn't. So a few days later, Marcia came to me and said, Angela was really offended by that joke you made about black women's hair. I know better. I immediately understood and said, thank you for letting me know. And the first thing I did is I called a friend of mine, another white woman named Christine. I vented my anxiety, my embarrassment, and then we put our heads together, and it's like, let's think about how your racism was manifesting in that meeting. So I called her, and I said, would you be willing to grant me the opportunity to repair the racism I perpetrated towards you in the meeting last week? And she said yes. And so we met, and I said, I just want to own that racism and that joke. And so we talked about it, and she basically said, I don't know you, I have no relationship with you, I have no trust with you, and I do not want to be joking about black women's hair in a professional work meeting with a white woman I don't know. The other piece that I owned was that in my cockiness, I was being the woke white person and making fun of the white people who didn't get it. I said, Angela, is there anything I missed? And she said, yes. That survey you so glibly shoved aside, I wrote that survey. And I have spent my life justifying my intelligence to white people. Okay, that was just like because I immediately got it. Never occurred to me she wrote the survey. Looking back at how I just dismissed it.
Like, this is the level that we're at right now. It is insane. To think from that comment, she went through all of this, and it all really was just because she dismissed the pamphlet or portfolio or whatever the hell this chick had showed her. That's really what it all was about at the end of the day. All the rest of it was just because of that. If she would have grabbed it and been like, oh yeah, this is great, I loved going over this, I really enjoyed it. Man, you should have heard these people up north last week. I guess her hair, she would have been laughing right out. She would have cracked up, never would have had a problem. Never would have had a problem.
So I owned that, I apologized, and then next step I took was, is there anything else that needs to be said or heard that we might move forward? And she said, yes. The next time you run your racism at me, she basically said, if we're going to be working together, I know you're going to run your racism at me again. So the next time you do it, would you like your feedback publicly or privately? Yeah, I loved her for that.
Run your...
And I said, oh, publicly, definitely, right? Like, I think most white people would have said, oh, God, no, privately. But it's really, I told her, it's really important that other white people see that I am not free of these patterns. And so anything else? Nope. Are we good? Yep, let's move on. And we moved on. And actually, there was more trust there. Because one of the things she said to me is, what you did in that meeting happens to us every day. This, what you're doing right now, this does not happen.
I will agree with one part, which is you should be able to sit and conversate with someone who you have a disagreement with this, especially if you're going to be having it in a professional setting. You need to have, like she said, these talks. Because it's important to have a certain level of respect for each other whenever you're going to be working with each other on a regular basis. Get along with the people. Even if I think their fucking mindsets are completely, like, the reasonings they have to get along is wrong. And these ideologies are backwards as shit in my head. But I do agree with her that you do need to be able to sit and talk with somebody like that especially someone you've had a disagreement with, and come to an understanding.
So I want to end with what could be under that dock if we had a transformed frame, because we can't get where we need to go from where we are right now. Right? Being good or bad is not relevant. Right? Racism is a multi-layered system infused in everything. Racism is complex. I don't have to understand it in order for it to be valid.
So okay, let me let her.
White comfort maintains the racial status quo. Discomfort is necessary and important. I bring my group's history with me. History matters. I might see myself as just an individual. The people of color in my life see me as a white individual. Whites are unconsciously invested in racism. I want you to imagine if white people internalize this framework, how revolutionary it would be. Feedback from people of color indicates trust because it is a huge moment of risk across a deep history of harm. Right? Feedback on white racism is really difficult to give. How I receive it is not as relevant as the feedback itself. You bring it to me upset, bring it to me upset.
That is sheer stupidity. If you come at someone with aggression, you are insane to think that that's the right way to do it. Context, all of that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What matters is what are you saying as a person of color? That's what matters. If you're white and you're getting told, shut your fucking mouth, it's just like, oh my God, dude. This is just not right. Just unbelievable.
There are no rules for how you should tell me that I've harmed you. It takes courage to break with white solidarity. How can I support those that do? Given socialization, it's more likely that I am the one who doesn't understand the issue. Can you imagine if white people were coming from that place? Racism hurts, even kills people of color 24/7. Interrupting it is more important than my feelings, ego, or self-image. Thank you. I only have time for 2 questions, so here's the one I'm going to answer. Will your book be available in audio? Yes. This one, how can a person of color navigate around white fragility in the workplace when direct confrontation usually ends in retaliation? There are different strategies. I actually think that choosing not to address it for people of color can be an empowered choice. I got to get through the day. I'm not throwing my pearls. So, no, I'm going to let it go. And that's actually a choice I'm making, and it's an empowered choice.
So for people of color, okay, let me let her finish. Please, God, let her finish.
Another strategy can be to elicit one of those white progressives who says they are an ally, then step up and not to take care of you. But there are times when that's a really good strategy. So much of my training came from women of color saying, "You go talk to that person that's giving us a hard time in the training." They're going to hear it from you better. And, you know, I'm from Seattle. I'm as conflict avoidant as the rest of us who are white. But that really built up my stamina. So just thank you guys all. Our work will never be finished.
Our work will never be finished. I think that's the important part right there is the work will never be finished. With this type of thinking, you will never come to a solution. Like the way they have set it up in her own, in her own descriptions, being good and bad is not relevant. There's no real total understanding of it, and there doesn't need to be. There doesn't have to be. Just this idea of racism that they have, it's not based on, the actual person's viewpoints, feelings, who is doing these so-called racist acts. It's not based on that. None of that. It's based on how offended is someone else of a different race to these actions. That dictates that dictates if it's racist. Insane to think that your actions, your mindset is dictated on someone else's viewpoints. To me, this is such a blatant way to just block off any type of examination of your perspective. And to think that this in some way is a helpful thing for any of us, especially people of color. To me, it's seemingly more like you're making us more and more dependent on your actions, as I've stated throughout this entire fucking video. Your message out there is the way you act as a white person in this world directly correlates how black people's lives are going to be in this world. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy to me. It is crazy to me. You know, we are too busy trying to constantly see and judge how white people view us, how white people are looking at us, what white people are doing, you know, all this and all that, for us to even look at ourselves and try to move forward on our own. Fuck the white people. Let them do what they're doing. You do you and make your own shit happen. And people of all different colors, of all different genders, are going to fucking hold you back the entire way up. Because the thing is, when somebody's going up, people who are also trying to go up right next to you are going to be trying to hold you down, or more importantly, use you as a propeller to push themselves off of to get themselves higher. Belief in yourself and the confidence and the knowledge to do it yourself and not depend on someone else's, you know, viewpoint of you or someone else's position in society as a reason to why you can or can't get to a position that you're trying to get to. Because all I see is this is another reason for black people to tell themselves, why try if our success is solely dependent on these people's viewpoints of us? Like, why the fuck do you want this to be a message sent out to black people? Stop. You try for you. You progress for you. You take the viewpoints of the people that you care about, and you take the examples of the people that you look up to, and that's it. And you keep moving forward for yourself. All right, I'm done. I've got to stop. I'm fucking tired. I've been doing this for too long. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you watched this whole thing, Jesus Christ. Thank you. Seriously, thank you. If you somehow made it through all of this, I really do appreciate it. And again, I gotta say, even at the end here, although I don't agree with a lot of what she's saying, and part of me feels like she's honestly hindering a lot of people, I still have to respect herself putting herself out there in her opinion. And you should respect someone who is willing to start these kind of conversations. So I will say that. Thank you all for listening again. You have a great one.